Any ideas, takeaways, thoughts you're going to take with you back to Tallinn?
I think the main takeaway is that the Latvian retail investor is waking up finally, and I think what we've seen in Estonia with the retail investors actually could happen here in Latvia as well. Great would be if Latvian Ergo would kind of try and IPO their green generation operations. I know there are some decisions, political decisions, that this might not be possible right now, but that would be, I think, an amazing trigger that we saw in Estonia for Latvian investor, let's say, interest and also for the Latvian capital market to take off.
As an analyst, do you consider Baltic markets as a market of its own, or part of a Nordic markets, or part of a European market system?
I'm afraid it's still a market on its own, but like we heard here today as well, is that it probably would be better to profile the Baltic market as the new Nordics, which I think one panel member mentioned today. So I think that's the way we want to go, rather than the Eastern European, profiling. So I think answer is today we're still independent, but if anything, I think like the new Nordics sounds great.
And what would be your pitch line for the Baltic markets if you had to present it, the elevator pitch for an investor?
Right. So I would say that it's like the Nordics, but 10 years back. So you have great educational system, great people. You also have now quite decent salaries, so people have money left over to invest. So everything is there. It's just that you need to do the work to get the interest up. And I think we are starting. And this conference, the interest, the number of participants, it's a great sign that we are getting started.
Do we have the risk of investors exiting as we did in 2008 and 9?
Not really, because before in 8-9 you had the Baltic funds, which dominated the Baltic markets, but they are no longer just Baltics. They have broadened their horizon. So what happened back then was that when Baltic funds had to sell because of outflows in their funds, they really created a crash in a way, and that was the main outflow. Now we have local retail investors who are sitting pretty cool in the boat, even though we have volatile times. So I think we have a better structure today than we had in 2007.
Okay, what would be the major risk for Baltic markets?
I mean, the obvious is of course Russia and Putin and so on, but I think no one has the worst case scenario in their models, and the worst case scenario is something that then we don't have to stand here and discuss. Then it's basically over. So you can't really model that in.
Are we in the Baltics or in EU in recession already? Will we be?
I mean, I'm not a macroeconomist, but I would say that from what I'm feeling, yeah, we are in a recession, and it's just a question: will it be a hard one or a normal or a mild one? And I think no one knows. We'll see how the inflation pans out next year, and when the central bank can kind of ease up a bit. So I think that's the big question: if it's going to be hard or normal, if the inflation comes down or not.
Okay, then what will outperform? Inflation rates in the Baltics or the Baltic or Nasdaq Baltic Index next year?
Good question. I would have to say that I think Nasdaq Index will outperform.
Okay, I asked about the economy. I'm asking about the markets. So, are we in a correction or is it a bear market?
We are in a bear market by all definitions, and I think that it's the same it's the same with a recession, that will it be a really bad bear market or will it be a mild one? So I think, and that also depends on the inflation and the central banks.
And what will be the next mantra of the Federal Reserve and ECB after transitory inflation and robust economy?
I think job done, hopefully.
Any advice you could give to the heads of central banks? I don't know, maybe Liz Truss or Mr. Chancellor or Miss Lagarde.
Right. I mean, it's not an advice to them because obviously, they're at another level. But I would hope that they show some regard for the markets and not brutally try to kill the markets, like we have seen some statements from the Fed, for example, and because the market is very much retail investors, so they can hurt the economy more than they want by making negative statements.
And which of the Baltic stocks or bonds would you sell, buy now?
Well, I like, just to say what I like, right now I like Linas Agro. It's a winner and I think it will continue to be a winner. In Latvia I like the recent IPO in Dexo. I think in Estonia you have Express Group, which is basically unheard of outside of Estonia. I like that one as well. What else do we have? I think those are three good choices.
Best industry to hold in a portfolio for next year?
Well, I think obviously the agri, like I mentioned. I think banks could, if the inflation calms down, could perform quite good. And yeah, those two are some sectors that I think could be interesting, that are not overly focused on, because you want something that has almost no focus on today and might be revived if we turn around here.
Between the pair of stocks, if you have to choose, buy, sell or hold to the Baltics, Ignitis, Enefit, Latvia's gas?
It's a hard one because Enefit is a great company, but it's priced like a great company too. So I think in that respect, Ignitis I would buy.
Indexo, LHV or Šiauliai Bank?
In that one, Indexo, because they have the highest degree of change with starting the bank going forward, I think.
Tallinna Kaubamaja or Apranga?
Tallinna Kaubamaja, because of the diversification and the food retail, which is very stable.